It's no shock that Ted McMillan is going to be one of the top wide receivers in this upcoming draft. His 40 is sending shockwaves through the draft world, but it's whether it's a game changer or is it a red flag? Let's break this down, guys. What's going on, Jet fans? I'm Julian Lacosto, joined by my co-host Nick Perry, and this is the Gangrene Report. Guys, if you're tuning in, hit that like button on the way in and subscribe to the channel for more Jets content all season long. The Jets were one of many teams in attendance for Ted McMillan's pro day. Ted McMillan is obviously, by a lot of people, the consensus number one wide receiver in this year's draft. Many have him going within the top 10 to 15 picks. The Jets pick at number 7 would be one of those teams looking to potentially select him in the upcoming draft. But before the pro day, one of the biggest question marks about him potentially being a selection in that upcoming draft was that he didn't run in the combine in Indy. So a lot of teams were questioning whether or not he was hiding his true speed. Was he really more of a 4.6, 4.7 kind of guy? Like, he didn't really have that big of a speed. Well, he ran the other day and times ranged between 4.46 to a 4.53 at 6'4", 219 pounds. Jordan Schultz even reported it separately, saying that he got more of the 4.48. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle to a 4.5 range, just because, honestly, a lot of these teams, when they go to pro days, they're in ideal situations. They're at home. It's a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more familiarity, and they have their own systems. And a lot of times it's also hand-timed versus lasers that they do at the combine. So you're going to get all different types of numbers. That's why you're seeing a lot of ranges. So my thing is, Nick, what are your initial thoughts of Ted McMillan as a prospect, and especially now after hearing about his 40 time? Give us your opinions.
Yeah, I feel like after the 40 times, I feel like I still love him. I think he'd be an awesome fit. I still love him, and I think he'd look amazing catching balls from Justin Fields and lining up opposite of Garrett Wilson for another deep guy, especially at wide receiver too. I think the 40 time just cemented to a lot of people that he should be going top in the draft, and rightfully so at this point. And there shouldn't be any doubts, I don't think, at that time, or as of right now, coming from a competitive school as well as amassing such incredible stats this year. For his whole career at Arizona. It's just amazing to see, and I think he would add a much needed piece for like our wide receiver room. And like I said, pairing up with Garrett, getting that wide receiver 2 check box, he'd be an immediate starter. So I think that would be incredible for us. I think, and the 40-yard dash just kind of made it a little bit better for me. So maybe not a 9, it's like a 9.5 now. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, I feel like a lot of people get married to the 40s and all that. And, especially with these bigger bodied receivers, at 6'4", 219 pounds, he is that bigger body wide receiver, which I feel like is something that we desperately need on this New York Jets team, especially because we already have that smaller, shiftier guy in Garrett. We need that guy who can take the top off the defense, go get more of those 50-50 balls. We thought Lazard was going to turn into that, but obviously that's not somebody that is going to be a long-term option. To give him a comp, though, last season, Rome Odunze, who's a similar build, 6'3", 215 pounds, he ran a 4.45 at the combine. And then Drake London, although he didn't run at the combine, similar build, 6'4", 213 pounds, and it was believed that at his pro day he ran in like the 4.5, even though he didn't even run at the combine. But a lot of scouts are kind of scared off by these bigger receivers because of their inability to separate or have that breakaway speed. But we've seen some pretty damn good names of receivers that were kind of bigger bodied guys that had some success at the next level. Talking about guys like Mike Evans, who's 6'5", DK Metcalf, 6'3", 6'4", are some names of guys that are currently in the league, 6'3" and up, that are quality receivers in this league. So for many that don't know me that well, I'm a strength coach by trade. So I know a ton of people in the NFL combine circles, guys at XPE down in Florida, all these guys that literally do this for a living, just getting people ready for the 40s. The one thing is that when you have a taller athlete running a 4.4 or even a 4.5, that's still very good speed at that size. Just being able to move a heavier and larger body at that much speed. His 10-yard splits, I would really like to have been interested to see what his 10-yard split is, just because to see what the difference and the breakdown between his acceleration versus top speed. But I digress. Like the 40 in my eyes is great, but my litmus test for a player is really just turn on their tape and you'll see a very talented wide receiver that, if anything, could be a high-level wide receiver too for us. And that's really all you really need to consider when having a wide receiver next to Garrett Wilson. He's not coming in to be a wide receiver one. You have to think of this as your T. Higgins to your Jamar Chase. I'm not saying he's Jamar Chase, but he is our Jamar Chase. Garrett Wilson is our Jamar Chase. This could easily be a good wide receiver tandem that you can have for the next several years, especially if they end up extending Garrett Wilson. This could be somebody that, could go be his running mate for the next couple years. In my eyes, the names that I'm looking at number 7 is Mason Graham, Ted McMillan, Tyler Warren, or you can even sell me on the Armand Membu. I'm getting more and more on that train because of our right tackle issues. I think Graham will probably be gone by pick 7. So it would really be between McMillan and Warren for me. Those are kind of my main 2 options, considering wide receiver 2 and tight end 1 are really our biggest 2 needs right now on our offense. So either way, we could do a lot worse with these 2 guys. Nick, what are your thoughts on Tet at 7?
I mean, personally, I would love to have Ted at 7, but I'd honestly be lying if I'm like, yep, I'm sold. That's it. Good 40 time, good hands, big body. I mean, Tyler Warren's on the board. I mean, he is just staring at you at 7. I mean, it's so hard to go. So, I mean, I'm really, really torn on that spot, only because also we have such big needs at those 2 huge positions. And of course, having a new QB with Justin Fields coming in, 2 huge positions that are of huge need to him. Having that security blanket, like we talked about in previous videos, of someone like Tyler Warren would just be huge. But also having somebody like Ted McMillan come in and kind of take over as that big body receiver, Justin Fields can break him in from day one. I think that would be fantastic as well. I think I like, and also if he does come in, he'd be clear wide receiver 2. I think he'd be starting from day one, which would be great, which is really reassuring. And with his size and speed, especially at the draft, at his pro day, I feel like you just can't go wrong. Guys, 26 career touchdowns, broken records for single game receiving yards at 304, all time receiving yards in a career around 3,400 at Arizona. You literally can't be upset with that. So, I mean, you take Tyler Warren, you take Ted McMillan. It's great, but Ted kind of took a jump up here for sure.
Yeah, overall, I think, good news in the wide receiver department this week. I think this could see him definitely going high in the draft after this performance, since this was kind of the real question mark going in, whether or not he had that top end speed. But guys, let us know below, does Ted McMillan's speed make him a top 10 pick? Would he be on your board at number 7 if you were the New York Jets? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, guys, go Jets.